I used to be very addicted to consuming a very high level of caffeine in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't have this, like, intense amount of caffeine, like, my brain turns to mush and hurts and, like, just, like, severe withdrawal if I don't get, like...
That's me, pretty much.
Yeah, like, a lot of caffeine. Like, it's like, oh, you want to go to this, like, Greasy Spoon diner and not, like, a coffee shop? Like, that's not good enough. Like, I'm drinking, like, 7 cups of, like, weak coffee at this diner, and it's not working. And so I would then, like... I tried to find the best, like, can bring it with me caffeine solution for, like, I can have this no matter where we are, and I can make it no matter where we are.
Yeah.
And, yeah, those tea bags don't work.
Yeah, like, that's literally in my logo on my mug. Coffee black, whiskey neat.
Yes.
I drink so much.
Amen.
Coffee. I got addicted just from working at coffee shops for so long. I just can't imagine... There's rarely a day where I go without at least 1 cup.
Totally, yeah.
Sweet nectar. AmericanaHighways.org is a website that stays on the road collecting Americana stories. From recent show reviews of Charlie Daniels Band, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, Allison Moorer, and Tyler Childers, to interviews of Keb Mo, Americana Highways is on the forefront of the Americana scene. They have album reviews, playlists such as the Back Roads playlist, which is my favorite, on Spotify, curated by your favorite podcast host and songwriter Will Payne Harrison, as well as essays and road journals by musicians. AmericanaHighways.org. Bookmark their page today. And go follow my playlist on Spotify. Americana Highways Back Road Playlist is currently featured on my Spotify artist page. Hey everyone, welcome to the Americana Station podcast. I'm really excited to have Jen Starsinic on. She's been a friend for a few years. She's an incredible songwriter, master fiddle player, and all-around fun hang, which we'll find out in this episode. We had a great time talking, and her new album, Bad Actor, or her new EP, Bad Actor, is coming out this Friday, February 7th. So you should, if you're in Nashville, go to her EP release with My Politic and Becky Warren and a bunch of other people are going to be playing on February 8th at the 5 spot. And if you're in town on February 7th, you should check out Will Payne Harrison at the Sutler. It's free. Let's see, John Dennis, Jess Jacoy, John Cavendish, a lot of new music coming out that you should check out, along with Jen Starsinic this month. It's going to be a really good month full of music. I just did an interview today with Boo-Ray. It's going to be out later this month. I'm really excited about it. We had a great time talking and hanging out, and he's actually, we're working on doing a showcase for Americana Station. A lot of stuff to announce about that later when his episode comes out, but we're hoping to get that all lined up and ready to go, where you can see Boo-Ray at an Americana Station showcase here in town. Make sure that you follow my playlist on Americana Highways, the Back Road playlist on Spotify. And let's listen to Jen Starsinic and what she has to say. Hey everyone, welcome to the Americana Station podcast. Today I have Jen Starsinic on. I'm really excited to have her. I've been listening to her new singles that have been coming out on Spotify, and you should be too. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Will.
So your new album is, what's the name of the new album?
It's called Bad Actor.
Bad Actor. It's coming out February 7th.
That's true.
On all streaming platforms, but even more importantly, online.
Online.
It's available to purchase on iTunes.
It's available to purchase on iTunes and Amazon Music if you do that, and
physical copies
too. Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you want to go ultimate independent artist support style, which I always recommend for music that you like. That's how I do music. Like, I'll listen on Spotify, and if I kind of fall in love with a song or a record, I'm like, I'm gonna go buy this. So I support this person. And you can go to my website, and there's a little store link there. You can actually pre-order a digital download of the record and also a digital download plus physical copy that I'll mail to you.
And it's 6 songs.
Yeah.
Extended play.
Totally.
And is it going to be available on vinyl?
Right now, it is not, though I would love to do that. It's a little bit of a funny length for vinyl.
Yeah. How long is the album?
Well, it's 6 songs, but it's like a kind of a dreamy indie rock record. So like one of the songs is 7.5 minutes long. So it's like a solid half-hour playtime.
Okay.
The half-hour plus. So
I was trying to think of like a cross between Americana and shoegaze, like shoegaze-acana or something.
Please,
something.
Well, will you be my marketing director or my branding person? What did you came up with earlier? War on Drugs meets Lucinda Williams.
Right,
who, two of my favorite bands. Literally, so I'm a fiddle player. That was like my fiddle was like the first musical thing that I really studied, I think. And I used to learn how to play fiddle from listening to Lucinda Williams sing, and I would like try to play melodies with as much like shape that she has when she sings. I think she's like so incredible. Yeah,
her melodies are so great too.
Yeah,
as are yours. You started off on fiddle. You went to Belmont, correct?
I went to Berkeley in Boston.
Berkeley,
actually.
Sorry.
No, it's
one of the B's.
No,
no.
I don't subscribe to like I feel like when I went to school there was like a Berkeley versus Belmont vibe. I couldn't care less.
What, did you go for songwriting or did you go for fiddle or performance?
I initially went to Berkeley for violin performance, and then, but always wrote songs, but was really shy about it. I was like that kid.
Yeah.
And my friend Emily and I in high school kind of started writing songs and like playing them at coffee shops together, but I was still like way too self-doubt-y to like own being a songwriter. But then when I was at Berkeley, there is a professor there named Mark Simos who actually wrote some of like my favorite Alison Krauss songs.
Yeah.
Like Crazy Faith. And I was in like a kind of old time fiddle ensemble my freshman year with him, and then he asked if anyone had songs that they wrote, and I played a song that I wrote there, and he was like, "You're a good songwriter, you should take some songwriting classes." And so I started doing that, and it was just like, okay, this is what I actually want to do. And so I kind of ended up taking a lot of courses there, and then I started touring, playing like fiddle and as a side gig in different people's bands, and then kind of just like a lot of people at Berkeley talk about like, oh, if you graduated, like that was bad, like it's so good to drop out of college. And I'm just like, that's not the kind of I'm the first like woman in my family to go to 4-year college, so it was like I was definitely like wanted a college degree. So, but I kind of switched my major to graduate early, so I think I was like a professional music major or something. But I studied both things there, is the short answer to your question.
That's great. And did you meet Georgia at Berkeley?
I did meet Georgia at Berkeley. So there was at Berkeley there was a songwriting club that was very like pop oriented, and so I like your Fanny's House of Music t-shirt. Sorry. Interrupting the podcast. I started a roots songwriting club just to like have a space for it to like hang out and talk about songs that like weren't pop songs, and that's how Georgia came to it, and that's how we met, and now she's my like platonic life partner.
And also your partner with Girls Right Nashville.
Yeah, we run a nonprofit together, so we're just very involved in each other's lives. Yeah,
so I mean, let's get into that a little bit. So you started a nonprofit here in Nashville to encourage young women to write more songs with Georgia English. Mm-hmm. And you started that a year ago, right? Or 2 years ago?
We started that. We're in our 4th season right now, so we...
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'm far behind on.
No, it feels simultaneously like it was maybe a decade ago or like it was 2 days ago. Sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, how old am I? How did I get here?
How long have you been in Nashville?
I've been in Nashville 6 years in February. Yeah.
I'll be 6 in May. So
oh,
we're right
cool.
around the same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Same class.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started that. 2017 was the first year that we did it. Just as a community arts project. We had a micro grant from Metro Arts, which is, if anyone's interested in doing like a community art project, Metro Arts has this amazing program called the Thrive Grant Program that they give not to nonprofits or anything, but like to artists who want to kind of do something to engage the community through art. And it was like a $2,800 grant. And we did the first season of Girls Write, which is we pair local middle and high school girls with professional adult female musicians and songwriters to learn about music, to learn about production, and also just to kind of gain confidence and leadership skills and tech skills and creative skills while going through that kind of painful adolescent transition into adulthood that really throws us all for a loop.
Well, it's just so cool that you're giving them like a platform to be like, I feel like so often, especially in Nashville, there's so many people that write songs secretly and are like, oh no, I'm not really a songwriter, but you're giving them a platform to say, yes, you are.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
Awesome.
It's really trying to celebrate and learn the power and like owning who you are, owning your narrative. And it's like, that's something that like people had to tell me when I was a lot older than they were, of like, hey, you're good, but if you're not willing to show up and be like, this is who I am, this is what I'm good at, I'm proud of what I do, and I'm behind it, then like who else is gonna get behind it? Like, no.
And that's beautiful that you're giving back because somebody did that for you, you know, that you decided to do it for other people. So this 6-song record, how long? I know one of the songs I just saw you release was very old. It's like what, 8 years old or something like that.
Yeah. So
how long did it take you to write all these songs?
Well, one of the songs, it's actually the last track on the record. It's a song called Foreign Thing that Glide Magazine just premiered. Was on, I have one record that I released when I was 21 years old. So that was 7 years ago. Yeah. Because I'm 28 now. On like this little folky record that I did, just like because I had some songs and some friends were like, oh, you need to record these, but I had like no idea like what my voice was or like what to like it was just like, okay, let's record these songs. And it was on a record called The Flood and the Fire, which people still tell me that they like listen to and like, and I feel like I sound like such a baby on it, so I can't listen to it, but I'm really like touched that people still like it. But that song was on that record, and that one just kind of like has stayed around in the set list over the years. And when I recorded it back then, it was like a fiddle voice, old time Appalachian style ballad, because that's like my kind of musical home base. But then it kind of evolved into, I don't know if you remember a local band around here called Natural Forces that doesn't play anymore, but no. They were like a cool like drum guitar duo that were friends of mine, and they covered it once, and I was like, I loved their version, and then so we kind of made our own newer version. But it's just kind of has stayed relevant to me. But the rest of the songs are newer, just within the last couple years. Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember seeing you at that place in Franklin with My Politic.
Kimbro's?
Maybe? Kimbro's, yeah. But that was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and you had a full band, and it was like all electric, like really badass.
Cool, thanks. It's still, well, I won't say it's still badass.
You can say it.
It's still badass. I think let's be honest. Let me practice what I preach to kids. I think it's more badass now because when I moved to Nashville, and I was like playing fiddle in a lot of different bands, and then I really wanted to work out playing my own music. And when I was a kid, I played piano, and then it was like when I was like maybe 9 or 10, like you could, in my school district, you could choose an instrument and like be in like the school orchestra or band program. And they were like, what instrument do you want to play? And I was like, can I swear on your podcast or no? Should I not? Fine. Okay. I was like, motherfucking drum kit. Like, let's do it. And they were like, both like, you know, my dad has always been very supportive of me playing music. And so he wasn't like, no, but he was just like definitely trying to like redirect that energy so that they didn't have to have a drummer in the house. But then also one of the other kids told me, they were like, you know that you're not going to play the drum kit in school band. You know that like they're going to give you a triangle, and then you're going to like sit in band and like play like triangle, and I was like, that's lame, I don't want that. So then I ended up playing the violin because also Dixie Chicks,
right, of course,
era, and like Marty was everything to me. She was so cool. Is so cool, excuse me. But I've always like wanted to be in a rock band, so when I started playing my own stuff, I was kind of went that route, but had never done it before, and was just really played around town and experimented for a long time, playing with different people. And I love folk music, or at least like the way that I've experienced folk music, but also like am such a tone nerd and like spacey person, and I love pop music, and I love shoegazy stuff, and I love like ambient stuff, and have always kind of dreamt and been like, why aren't those sound palettes combined more?
Yeah,
because they're gorgeous together. So that's kind of the vibe that we landed on.
Yeah, which sounds great and really pairs well together. You know, you said I love folk music and I love rock, and I just think of like, because Tom Petty is my all-time favorite like songwriter, and just how that's basically what he did back then too. You know, like he was just like super in the like 60s like folk scene, and like that's what he grew up on, but loved rock and roll, and just was like, you know what, this isn't a thing, I'm gonna make it a thing. Just like this kind of combination of
hell yeah. And like that's what folk music is about, man. It's like folk music isn't about like, it's like a traditional sort of, like there's an aspect of tradition to it, but it's like definitely not about like having a lot of rules that you have to follow. Like it's definitely, to me at least, about telling your story in a way that's like accessible, and is less about like, oh, I have to be this pristine and I have to do this right and I have to do this right. It's just like, no, just like make noise, like have a genuine, authentic outpouring of sound from your body.
And I'm so tired of the, you know, at least since I've moved here in the last 6 years, of the like, okay, get to the chorus by the 45 mark, you know, like cut it off by 3:30, and it's just like ridiculous, you know.
Totally. I get it. It's like, I get for radio, it's like, okay, there's stuff that, and part of it is like streaming too. It's like streaming, they like want people to stay in the platforms.
Well, you can listen to more songs if the song is shorter.
Totally. That was like, I love the band War on Drugs, and their last record, A Deeper Understanding, I adore. I mean, I adore everything they do, but I fucking loved that like their first single from that track was like the 15-minute long song. And they were just like,
or well, like Leonard Skinner back in the day, where they're like, there's no way that the radio is going to play a 10-minute ballad, and then like it's like the song that everybody screams at every concert, you know. And
I have you ever experienced like when you're actually playing a show, any audience member having that same feedback of like, oh, I liked that song, but it took too long to get to the chorus, or like, oh, that was too long, you should make it shorter? It's like, no one has ever, I've never had that actual listener feedback ever.
No, I don't think I have either. No one's like, or like, where was the chorus? I don't understand like the structure. Like, no, when that's what's great about Americana, and I'm so glad that the format is growing and that the radio format is growing and stuff like that, because they don't really care. Like, they'll play a 7-minute song if it's a good song.
I love that.
So you have a new single coming out. Well, it probably, by the time the podcast releases, it will be out. What's the new single?
Sure. The new single is a song called Cold, and it's coming out Friday. I'm looking for my phone to look at the actual date. Friday, January 24th or 5th, whichever is Friday.
24th. Yes,
Friday, January 24th. A song called Cold is coming out, and it's actually my favorite song on the record. It's my favorite song.
So after streaming this episode, go and stream that song.
Should definitely go stream that song. It's both my favorite song on the record, and then also Parker McAnally from the band The Prescriptions, who plays bass on my record and co-produced it and mixed the record, and we really kind of, him and me, and then John Wood, who plays drums in The Prescriptions and plays drum with me, really kind of like hashed out all of this together. It's Parker's favorite track, how it turned out too.
Will they be playing with you live as well?
John is. Parker, I think has had some bass things, or has some schedule conflicts, but they do play live with me sometimes, and John is playing drums on all of our release shows.
Yeah, I was going to say, your release show is at the 5 Spot.
Yeah,
right?
So the record comes out February 7th. We're going to be on WSMV that morning and on the TV, and
that's awesome.
I'm going to try
Today
to remember.
in Nashville, is that?
Yeah, that, and I have to remember there's I say the word shit a lot in the song Cold.
Oh.
And so I have to remember.
What are you going to say, crap?
I think it's
spit.
I think it's this shit used to turn out all right is the lyric that it is. So I think I don't know. Let's have a listener poll. Call in with your suggestions. Yeah. I think I've sometimes done like these things used to turn out all right, but like I haven't found a great word substitution for it.
The ship.
The ship used to turn out all right. Perfect. Yeah, that's really going like the technically I didn't say it, but that's what you all heard.
Yeah.
Route. I like that. It's deceitful.
It's a little deceitful. I used to have a friend that would open up on tour with us, and sometimes we would play churches, and he would do that. He would change shit to ship.
That's great. That's smart. All right. Well, we solved the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. A girl named Molly Martin, who plays bass in the band Daddy's Issues, is playing bass on the shows.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
So you're doing a 5 Spot, and then
5 Spot show Saturday, February 8th.
February 8th, and where else are you playing for your release?
We're right now for those release dates, just that weekend, just doing that Nashville show. It's kind of like a debut record sort of situation. So we're spread touring out, but we're gonna be down in Birmingham and doing some shows in Charleston, West Virginia, and in like the Bristol, Virginia area. And we were talking earlier about we're gonna get up to Pennsylvania, which is my homeland where I hail from. So we're gonna go visit some folks up there and do some Pennsylvania shows. You
said you're gonna do that later this summer.
Yeah, this summer we're gonna go up to Pennsylvania and do some of that, and maybe Oklahoma City. I think we're gonna go out to Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City is a fun town to play in. They have a few good clubs out there, and Tulsa's great too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check out Tulsa. Maybe I was talking to a place in Austin. We might go play.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a long trek.
That's a longer trek for sure.
You'll have to let me know if you need any Louisiana dates on the way down there.
Oh, sure. I would love that. Yeah. I've actually never been to New Orleans.
What?
I know. But it's like it's this weird thing because I'm obsessed with it. And I have been for a long time, and like have listened to a lot of New Orleans like bands and music, and I just like think that I would love it. And my brother is in the Navy and used to be stationed in Pensacola, Florida, and every time I would go visit him there, we would plan because my brother also like plays banjo, and we used to like go busk when we were teenagers together. My brother has like a beautiful voice. Like my brother is a better singer than I am, but. We would always plan like, we'll go on like a day trip to New Orleans. And then every single time I visited him in Pensacola, there was a hurricane, and we obviously could not drive to New Orleans. So I'm still yet to
Don't visit the Gulf Coast in August. Just don't do it. Stay away. Yeah, that's the tip I can give you. Okay, it's also way too hot. So like you don't want to be, you should go more in the winter, fall. Yeah. It's miserable in like June, July, August anyway.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
New Orleans is great. Is Nola County, is he playing any of your singles?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know your publicist definitely has contact with him, so I'm sure it's either in the queue or whatever. But Jimmy Palacios is awesome.
Oh, cool.
And he has a radio show down there called Nola County, and he just started a new one. I can't remember what the name of the new show is, but he's a radio DJ down there that plays all the Americana and Ameripolitan type stuff. Nice. And he's great, and he really like has been pushing for a scene down there in New Orleans, because there are some Americana artists down in New Orleans, but he's trying to get like a lot of the Nashville and Memphis and different areas down there.
It's not far.
7 hours.
Totally.
Yeah.
So like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So
you got to get down there.
Yeah, let's do it. We should go do that together. Do you want to go
it.
play some shows in Louisiana?
We're going.
Okay, love it.
Done.
I also just love experiencing places with people who are from there.
Yeah.
That's real special.
Yeah, because then you don't go to the touristy place, right?
Totally.
Like, no, you don't want to go over here and get beignets. This is dumb. Like, let's go get crawfish over here. Yeah.
Yes, that sounds great.
You're like, yep, whatever.
Let's go to Louisiana and plan like a couple shows, but then like multiple days of just eating.
Right. Yeah. Just we'll fast for a week.
Yeah.
Before we go.
Perfect.
And just
Actually,
gorge
I
ourselves.
can't fast. I don't think anyone wants to meet me having fasted.
Yeah.
I get really cranky and I just like get really way too spaced out if I haven't eaten. I eat like every 3 hours. I'm like a grazer.
Yeah. I would start snapping at people probably.
Yeah, totally.
They'd say something funny and I'd be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, just be like, shut up. Don't exist. Be quiet.
So you're going down, you might be going down to Austin. You got some Pennsylvania dates. And are you still playing fiddle for people on the side while you do Girl Writes Nashville and your own album release as well?
Yeah, I do. I play fiddle in a band locally called My Politic. You know Caston.
Of course,
and all
yeah.
of them. Yeah, totally. Duh. We've all hung out. I don't know why.
I think that's how I met you.
I think that's how we met. But they're actually playing my release show too. So the release show, I don't know if you saw the poster or anything, is I'm really excited about.
There's a comedian, right?
Yeah, MK Gannon is a comedian locally, and she does a thing called the Eastside Comedy Festival that she puts together, and she also did a show. I want to say in the last year, but like who knows? It might have been like 3 years ago. But she did like a live comedic reenactment of the dinner party scene from The Office. And like sold out 3 nights of it. So she's amazing, and she's like gonna be the host. So there's like 3 bands. Becky Warren is playing. I'm playing. The Sound Awake is playing, and then Georgia English and My Politic are gonna do a little acoustic set. And Hayes Ragsdale of the band The Prescriptions is gonna do a little acoustic set, and so it's gonna be kind of like a weird variety sort of night.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
then it'll end with your set at the end.
I'm gonna be sandwiched in the middle, and then Sound Awake is gonna like take us home with the late night vibes.
Nice. And that's February 8th, which is a Saturday.
February 8th at the 5 spot. So it'll be really fun.
That's great.
I wanted to do just like have a really fun party.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stressful to do like a album release thing, so it's always fun to just get a bunch of friends together and
totally. Yeah. Plus, that's just like we were talking about while you were making me this delicious coffee that I'm drinking. I'm pretty like holistic hippies and vibes about making music, and I think that you should be like having fun doing what you're doing, or like maybe having fun is, there's lots of things about anyone's job or about like playing music that are not fun, like they're difficult and they're hard, but like I think that you should be like enjoying in some deep way like what you're doing,
right? Or
why do it, and like why ask people to come, like, so yeah, for me it's like I want to throw a show that I would love to hang out at if I'm gonna ask people to come hang out at it.
yeah exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's such a stress to put on like album release shows. And I did like the last couple of records I've done like album release tours where I hit up all the places where I kind of had some fans, and that makes it even more stressful because you're doing like multiple.
Totally.
So if it just ends up being a party, I can imagine that's way more fun.
Yeah. Plus like I have a lot of just like mental, emotional health concerns. I don't even like to say like, oh, mental illness or like mental health issues, but I've just like had depression, anxiety issues my whole life. And so, yeah, like when, especially as an independent artist that's like kind of newer, like you're not making your whole living from what you're doing lots of other stuff. Like you said, like we do Girls Right, and I do this, and then I side gig for people, and to plan like that whole coordinated effort by yourself. Yeah,
even like someone who hasn't been diagnosed with that will get depression and anxiety.
As it's at all. It's like this. It's a huge task to do it and not fuck it up. And then if you fuck it up, you're ruining relationships. You know, it's like if you book a gig and then do a poor job at it, and then like they're not gonna want you back. So it's like, you know, it's for sure is a lot of pressure. And then and I'm also like ADHD, and so it's just like so for sure my attitude is like slow and steady wins the race. And yeah, I'm trying to do stuff at a pace that like works for me.
The most stressed I've ever been, or anxious I've ever been, is actually last year I triple booked me and an artist from Kentucky, Eric Bolander, on the same night. Like I think two of the booking agents had the same name, and I got confused. We ended up triple booking, and I had to cancel one, and then we figured out a way to play two of the three. But like that was the most stressed I've ever been, because it was like play the show, pack up, go to the next show, like. And there was a third show that it would have just been impossible to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that sounds so stressful. But it's like it's a lot to keep track of, and like
on your own.
It's a lot to keep track of on your own as someone who, you know, no one who is like called to like write and like be a creative is like necessarily like, I feel like that part of your brain is like a very different part of your brain than you're like keeping track of things, like answering all your emails, being organized, like and it's just two very, very different modes. And like that maybe some people are really good at both, but I am not. Like I struggle with that the keeping track of things mode, and have like, you know, I've learned how to color code a planner now, and so it's better. But it's just like I feel like that can be so discouraging to so many musicians, myself included, if you like look at like the mammoth task that all that is. And if you expect yourself to like do it perfectly and like do it in this like picture perfect way, then you can just like not do it. And
it's such a, I used to be like the manager and booker for an old band I was in, and so I got pretty good at it. So I it's not something I want to do, it's just something that I got pretty good at. But it really is a different part of your brain, and you can't like go from like booking and management to be like, I'm gonna go write a song. Like it doesn't flip like that.
No, it really doesn't.
It's just a completely different part of your brain that you can't just like once I turn it on, it's on, and like my mind is like thinking about all the things I got to do, so I can't just switch to the creative side. And so like you said, not everyone can do that. And if you are a creative and you don't want to lose that creative energy, like switching to that like task oriented energy is like it's gonna kill the creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
don't know how to I imperfectly try to find that balance. If you have any tips,
call in.
What's that?
I said call in.
Call in. Tips, here's my phone number.
Perfect segue. How do you typically write, and are you a dedicated writer, or is it like when the muse comes?
Yeah, interesting question. A little bit of both. I do really believe in like developing like your craft as like a practice, like writing in some way every day, just like getting in the I think a lot of that is just like getting in the habit of sitting down and prioritizing that time, and engaging that part of your brain, which I'll do sometimes, like even if I don't have time to like, because I do really struggle with like getting in that mode where I'm like leaving the rest of the world behind and just like turning inward and like focusing on that. And I do really struggle with like finding that space. So if I'm really going to sit down and like try to write in terms of like really finish a song, then I really have to like kind of carve out that time. But even if I don't have time to do that in a day, like I will do just like little writer's tricks all day long. Like every once in a while, this is going to sound weird. Every time I've said this to any person, they look at me like I'm so strange.
Okay, I'm going to try my best not to.
No, I want your honest. Don't. Don't lie to me, but like just narrating what you're doing sometimes in like third person to yourself, just like you would be describing a scene, like walking into a place, and if I'm just like waiting in line.
No, that makes sense.
I try to, instead of just be like, let me check my email, just like,
I mean, that's what you're doing in a song.
Totally.
You're narrating your perspective.
Totally. So just like third person, kind of flatly describe and like.
Do you ever narrate someone else? Like someone's in the checkout line in front of you and you start narrating?
I've never done that, but that's really, that would be creepier and more interesting. I like it.
Start building their life for them,
Totally. I do that. Like I will sit someplace and like if I go to the movies and I'm early, I will sit and like try to figure out what everyone's relationship with each other is. Like, oh, are you married? Are you on a first date? What's your body language? Like, what's your story? Like, and all of that I think is just like writer's mindset.
Right.
And so that is like a pretty constant thing for me. And I don't know how to get out of that, which is maybe a good thing. But in terms of writing, I feel like for my songs and like what I like writing about for my own music, which is definitely like a very specific thing. Like, I kind of, it's really, I think I started writing songs to like hash out my own like internal chaos a little bit and like gain some perspective on that. And so a lot of times I'll write a song that's like from just like a moment in my life. That's kind of hard to explain. I don't know how to word that well. And then I'm just kind of like trying to get back to like what exactly was I trying to feel in that like one little moment. And a lot of times it's like a pretty quiet and like pretty pedestrian sort of moment. It's not like, oh, here's my big fucking thing that happened, like let's write a song about it, because all my stuff is like it's very dreamy, it's very kind of pensive, it's kind of like, where is this in significance in the mundane kind of sort of stuff.
Well, and I think that there are probably 95% of my songs, if I wrote them exactly like verbatim how they played out in my life, then you wouldn't want to listen to the song.
Totally. Yeah. It's like you have to write a song. You have to be like writing a song first and then like using your personal life as fodder second, if you do that at all, which I think we all do, because like we're all just humans trapped inside of ourselves. So it's like it's always going to be like you and your perspective entering in some way. But I
do like challenging myself sometimes too, and like writing in like a like one of the songs I've wrote recently, I wanted it to be an open-ended song where it was open-ended enough to where you didn't know what actually happened to the person. It's like, did they die? Did they leave because they didn't want to be with them anymore? Was it a wreck? Was it an accident? Like, what happened? Totally. Something happened. And kind of like, I started off with that idea of like, I want this to be a song where 20 different people get 20 different answers when they hear it.
Totally.
And that's fun too, because then you get out of that rut, for me personally, of like writing the same way constantly.
Totally. Yeah. I'm like actually really big into that. I don't think like really any of my songs are super clear in that it's like cool, here were your plot points. It's all getting back to maybe like the Americana shoegaze thing. I don't know yet. We need to workshop that. I don't know how to combine those words.
Not on the spot. I might have to.
No.
We'll punch it in later.
But it's just like I'm the fan of like abstract-y sort of lyrics, and like Pavement is one of my all-time favorite bands. And like I think that he's a great lyricist, and people don't talk about that a ton, of like how good those lyrics are, or even War on Drugs, how like good War on Drugs lyrics are. Sometimes
it's hard to understand what they're saying.
It's hard to understand what they're saying sometimes, for sure.
Or you're just so focused on the feeling of it that you miss some of the lyrics.
Yeah. Well, that's why you just have to listen to it 80 times like I do. I think that's just like a good record that you want to listen to so many times. But where it's like more about like communicating kind of just like abstract visual art too. It's like more about
Yeah.
communicating a feeling and what that might mean to anyone who's listening, rather than like, here's a story, let me tell you what happened.
Yeah. What's her name? Phoebe Bridgers is kind of
so great.
Yeah, that vibe of like, I mean, if you listen to some of the songs, you're like, okay, I see what you're saying here, but like sometimes, yeah, it's like you're like, oh, I'm sad now and I don't know why, and then you go back and listen 14 times and you're like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I just not knocking anything or saying that there's a right way, because obviously there's not, but just like personally, I'm so drawn to, and like I just love stuff that invites people to kind of be involved with mystery in that way, you know, asking some bigger questions that don't necessarily get quick answers. That is like feels soothing to me, and maybe that's just like the world that we live in now, that's like so fast. And
what is the answer for your new album?
Ooh, what is the answer to my new album?
Yeah.
Good question.
What's the answer that you're giving?
I don't know that there's like an answer really. So that record is called Bad Actor, and there's a title track that's called Bad Actor that I think someone is premiering soon. I don't know. Do I say that before it happens?
Yeah, I mean, well, this will come out whenever the record.
It might be premiered already then by the time this comes out. So you can go listen to that one too. And the whole record, all of the songs. So I kind of went through like a rough personal stretch in my life where I had moved to Nashville. I was playing fiddle in different bands as like a side person, and kind of quit doing that because it had become somewhat unfulfilling, and wanted to like redevote myself to making my own music, and then like maybe doing some side gigs, because I love doing that. I love being a part of other people's music too. Like that's a nice balance. But like less like, cool, give me all the gigs and let me be on the road all the time, and more like, and
only be known for being a violin player.
Totally. Like, cool, I'll play on your stuff because I like you and your stuff, and also do my stuff. And then my dad had liver cirrhosis, and he started getting really sick, and eventually went on a liver transplant list, and eventually got a liver transplant, and now is doing so much better. But he was really sick for a long time, and I was one of his primary caregivers, so I was back and forth to Pennsylvania a lot, and I was like 24 years old, so clueless out in the world, and trying to like still, you know, make enough money to like keep paying my rent down here, because I did not want to, like, I was facing a little bit that like, oh, do I need to like move home and then move back, and what if I get stuck and don't come back, and that's terrifying to me.
Right.
And we had been planning to record some of my stuff, and then it just kept getting pushed back, because it was like, oh, let's record here these dates, and then I would just be like, something would happen, I'd have to go to Pennsylvania, and we could never book studio time, and eventually it was just like, well, this is getting postponed, because I want to be able to really show up and be excited about making music, because I think that's how you make good music. It's like being present with it. Being present, and like the energy that you bring is the energy that's like going on tape or on Pro Tools, and you know, that's how it works. And so it kind of got pushed off a while, and then it morphed into like a very different little record during that time, because I wrote a lot of new songs about I had a concussion and was like processing some stuff from my own childhood, and like going to therapy for the first time to like learn how to manage myself better, and so it was just like,
that'll help with songs.
What's that?
That'll help with songs.
Oh yeah, totally. Many a song seed was born in the parking lot outside my therapist's office, which is great, I think.
They're like, here's something to think about, and then you write like 8 songs about it.
Totally. Yes, for sure. Therapy is great for so many reasons. Let's all go to therapy. But so started, you know, so a lot of the songs are kind of about that, and for me that was kind of facing some truths for myself, you know. I think if you like grow up in a situation where it was maybe like a little traumatic as a kid, it affects like the way that your self-narrative develops. It just kind of does, and you find out that you believe some unhelpful things about yourself, or how to be in the world, or like, you know, how to relate to other people, and that's not your fault or anything, but it is something that you kind of have to like face and be honest with yourself about, because it's like, if you do, then great, maybe you can like live with a little bit more ease, and if you don't, then it's like you who's gonna keep suffering, and the people around you, and that sucks. Like,
right.
Don't do that to other people, and don't do it to yourself. But so Bad Actor, a lot of those songs are really about me kind of coming to terms with myself, and learning about the ways in which I was like kind of faking certain things, and just like maybe not being honest, but also just like not being aware, but like willing to see that. And
so the question is, who am I? And the answer is Jen Starsinic. Right?
Yeah, the question is like, who am I? And that's just like, and then it's all, but like, exactly, it's like, this is who I am, because I really felt like I was glad that we had to wait so long to make the record, because Parker and John and I had like, every time I was in town, we'd be kind of like playing songs a little bit and like talking about the vibe and what I wanted to be. And the record that got made, I feel like I feel really strongly connected to, like, oh yes, this is the music that I want to make. So you're right, it's like, who the fuck am I? Here it is, that this is who I am. And
with a lot of confidence, I think.
Totally. Well, thanks.
Sure. Normally we play a song at the end. Would you want to play a song for us?
Sure. Trapped in my house, watching the snow fall, with a view of the freeway and the cars as they pile up. There's gotta be 20 dead so far in the storm of the century. If this was another year ago, you'd be here making love to me. This shit used to turn out alright. I'm never even worried about the ice. It's a whole new feeling, the feeling of falling, of slipping over the edge. Are you braving the storm? Are you out in the blizzard? Are you perfectly warm in your snow boots and your mittens? And there's a part of me hopes you're the same as you were in summer. Did the storm make you lonesome, or are you stronger? This shit used to turn out alright. I'm never even worried about the ice. It's a whole new feeling, the feeling of falling, of slipping over the edge. I've never even seen this much snow. I never used to worry about getting old, but I won't last long if it stays this cold. This shit used to turn out alright. I'm never even worried about the ice. this much snow. I never used to worry about getting old, but I won't last long if it stays this cold. I've never even seen this much snow. I never used to worry about getting old, but I won't last long if it stays this. I've never even seen this much snow. I never used to worry about getting old, but I won't last long if it stays this cold.
Thanks so much for listening to Americana Station. Make sure you rate and review on your favorite podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher. We're on Spotify now. Follow, tell your friends about it, share. It really helps a lot. And make sure you listen to Jen Starsinic's new EP. Stay tuned for Boo Ray. He's coming in a few weeks on the podcast, and we've got a lot of other people coming up in future podcasts that I'm excited about. Lots of great things going on this year, and we're going to start doing some showcases on a more frequent basis. We'll be talking more about that shortly. Really excited about the people I'm teaming up with. So make sure you follow us on social media. I'm slowly getting all my stuff back up. I have a Facebook page again. There are 2 pages right now because I do not have control of the old one, but the new one is Americana Station Podcast on Facebook. So if you do facebook.com/Americana Station Podcast, you will find us there. And you can also find me at facebook.com/The Will Payne Harrison or at Will Payne Harrison on Instagram. And we have at America Station and at Will P. Harrison on Twitter. We'll see you soon.